Welcome to The Explainer, where we dig into the real story behind the headlines. Today, we're looking at the cost of living crisis.
So, for the last few years, your bills have just gone up and up, right? And you've probably heard two totally different reasons why. One story is, hey, it's not our fault. It's global problems. It's war. Just bad luck. But the other story? It blames good old-fashioned corporate greed. Today, we're going to look at the evidence and see what's what.
All right, let's get into the facts. Back in October 2022, things got bad. I mean, really bad. Inflation hit 11.1%. That's the highest it had been in 41 years. And you definitely felt that.
And it didn't stop there. A few months later, during the weekly shop became a nightmare. Food prices jumped by a crazy 19.1%. We hadn't seen anything like that since 1977.
Then, of course, there was the big one, energy bills. The forecast for a normal family's yearly bill hit nearly 4,300 quid. I mean, that's not just a squeeze, that's a breaking point for millions of people. So, okay, let's really get into this.
So first up, let's look at the energy companies. This is where it all started. And what we found is a pretty clever system they had, a system for hiding massive profits right under our noses. It's been called the energy shell game. You know, like that street hustle? The idea is simple. They move the profits away from the part of the company that sends you your bill and shifted them to other parts of the business that you never, ever see. To get how this works, you just need to know about the 3 steps for getting energy to your house. First, there's upstream. That's them getting oil and gas out of the ground. Then midstream. That's all the pipes and wires to move it around. And finally, downstream. That's the company that actually bills you for what you use.
Okay, now check this out. While you were getting those crazy high bills from the downstream guys, look what was happening upstream. In 2022, Shell made, get this, nearly $40 billion. That's the biggest profit any European company has ever made. And BP? Yeah, they broke their own records too.
And what about the midstream guys, the ones with the pipes? You'd think that'd be the boring part, right? Well, they were quietly making a 38% profit margin. And guess who paid for that? You did. It came right out of the standing charges on your bill, the bit you have to pay no matter what. So you see, it was like 2 different worlds. The part of the business you deal with, the company sending your bill, was a total mess. I mean, 29 of them went out of business. But the parts you don't see, the ones getting the oil and moving it around, they were making more money than ever. Record-breaking profits.
All right, next up, the supermarkets. Now, they always say they make hardly any money on your food shopping. But the real evidence, the thing that really tells the story, wasn't on the grocery shelves. It was at the petrol station.
Now look, it's true. Supermarkets work on tiny profit margins. But here's the thing. When you're a giant like Tesco bringing in nearly 70 billion pounds, even a tiny slice of that is a huge amount of cash. We're talking over 3 billion pounds in profit.
But the real smoking gun, the thing that shows what was really going on, was fuel. For years, supermarkets sold cheap petrol just to get you in the door to buy groceries. Well, during the crisis, they completely flipped that script.
The government's competition watchdog, the CMA, actually looked into this, and what they found was just explosive. Supermarkets had more than doubled how much profit they were making on every liter of fuel. That little switch cost drivers like you an extra 900 million quid in just 1 year.
And this wasn't some accident. They found internal documents that spelled it out. Asda, right after it was sold to a private equity firm, basically decided to triple its profit target on fuel. They actually said they saw a chance to, and I'm quoting here, take price from drivers.
Okay, so we've seen some pretty clear evidence of companies jacking up profits on energy and fuel. But was this happening everywhere? Was the whole country dealing with greedflation? To know for sure, we have to look at the big picture. So first, what is greedflation? It's a really simple idea. It's when a company uses a crisis, like the pandemic or the war, as an excuse to raise their prices way more than they need to, just to make bigger profits.
So, in the UK, the official numbers say that bigger company profits made up a decent chunk of inflation, about 20%. But to be fair, that wasn't the whole story. Higher wages were actually a bigger piece of the pie at 42%. But, and this is interesting, just look across the water in Europe. The IMF found that over there, company profits were the #1 cause of inflation. Almost half of all the price rises were down to them. So it's clearly not a simple issue. Okay, so we've looked at the energy companies, the supermarkets, and the national numbers. It's time to put it all together and figure out what really went on.
So what's the bottom line?
Well, it wasn't just one thing. It definitely started with a real global crisis, but that crisis was made a lot worse because a few key companies, the ones who sell you energy and fuel, used it as a chance to rake in cash. It wasn't every single business, but it was the ones that hurt your bank account the most. And just look at the money involved. It's mind-blowing. The UK government spent over £50 billion of your money trying to help families with their bills. At the same time, just two companies, BP and Shell, gave about $156 billion back to their shareholders.
So when you look at all the evidence, this crisis wasn't just about things getting more expensive. It was a massive shift of money. It went from the pockets of regular people like you and me and went straight to the shareholders of a few giant companies. The money didn't vanish, it just moved up.
And that leaves us with one last, really important question. Right now, prices are still high, and families across the UK are stuck with £4 billion of energy debt. So you have to ask, has anything actually changed? What's to stop this from happening all over again? Thanks for joining us.